Jesus goes on to say, whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. And you may say, hey, this just bolsters their argument even more. No, let's look at it more closely. This actually stands in opposition to their false theology. You see, Jesus said that not one jot or tittle will pass from the law. So this is what you need to ask them. This is the first thing you need to ask them. The law keepers, the Torah keepers. Do you still keep the sacrificial laws? Do you still sacrifice animals? And of course, they're going to tell you no. And the reason is because the temple was destroyed in 70 AD. So they're going to say that they can't carry that out, but they try to do the best they can. So they try to keep as many of the laws they possibly can. They obviously can't keep the sacrificial laws, but they try to keep all the rest of them. But yet you see, Jesus said not one jot or tittle will pass from the law. So if you look at the sacrificial law, the sacrificial system, that made up at least 150 or so of the 613 Old Testament commands. The sacrificial system was tied to at least 150 of the commands. So think about that. That's a huge, massive chunk. That's certainly more than just a single jot or tittle. But yet Jesus said not one single jot or tittle will pass from the law. But yet what they want to convince you is, well, since we can't practice the sacrificial laws, those we don't really have to worry about. We just have to worry about what we can do.
So I'm not sure who he's talking to. I'm not sure like what Torah observant people he's been talking to.
I think he read a Wikipedia page though on 613 commandments because that's probably. I'm not sure where.
But I think the point here is this. And you know what? Maybe he is talking to some Hebrew rooters, or maybe he's talking to some Messianics or something who say exactly that. And the thing is that there are plenty of people, even within just the broadest theological term that we could use, a pronomian view there. And Bonson, who originally comes up with this term pronomian, he's the one who says there's a sliding scale from people who, just believe that God's law is good, all the way up to people who believe that there will be sacrifices again in the millennium. I'm of the latter. I believe in what the word says in Ezekiel 40 through 48, that there will be another temple built and that the prince will will sacrifice in the temple. By the way, I've changed my view on who the prince is, but I believe that the Messiah will be reigning from the temple in that time. So there will be sacrifices again, and believers will take part in those again. And those laws have not been done away with, and those laws are still important. And yes, believers will sacrifice again and should sacrifice again when the option arises. But and
the things that God called an abomination are still an abomination.
Right?
Just because let's say there's a death penalty kind of commandment, they're saying, oh, so you're going to kill somebody, right? And it's like, no, because we're not in a situation where we have a godly, Torah-based world, right? But that does not mean that in God's eyes, the sin is less heinous now. We have to understand that when there are laws that we are unable to keep, well, I just think about the exile. I think about Daniel, for example.
When you brought that up to me and to everyone on this show, when you brought that up, that was an aha moment for me. And I use that often now. I will say, since you've said it, and that was only like a month and a half, 2 months ago. Since you've said that, Had it probably 8 or 9 times to people. I've said, well, do you think that the Torah was done away with when Daniel was in exile? Had the Torah ceased to be relevant? The answer is obviously not, because the temple's rebuilt. People continue
and there's three easy to remember things. One is he didn't want to just simply eat everything that was put before him. So he ate only certain things, right? Because of purity. Well, there was no temple, there was no priesthood. He prayed at the time of the offerings, even though there were no offerings being offered towards Jerusalem.
Yep.
And during the exile, this is what God says in Jeremiah and Chronicles: the land was keeping her Sabbaths that Israel did not keep while they had the land under their stewardship.
Yep.
So the covenant remains.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why Daniel 9, such a powerful prayer of exile, is like, we are under the Torah. But what does he mean? We're under the curse of the Torah. It means we're still under the covenant. The covenant still abides, but we're in the wrong column. We're not in the blessing column, and we're under the curse column. Why? Because we have rejected your Torah. We've rejected the words of your prophets. You've sent prophets, and we've rejected their words. And our fathers and we are sinful, and only you, Lord, are righteous. There is no righteousness for us, but you are the one who is righteous. Have mercy on us. It's a beautiful, beautiful passage, Daniel 9. And it's what under the law means in Paul.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications. And we'll see you in the next video.